Welcome to Webinar Wednesday, powered by Marketing 360. My name is Seth Burney, and as always, I am joined by none other than Brandon Lilly. How are you doing today, Brandon?
I'm doing fantastic, Seth. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. Well, Brandon, today we're going to be talking about how to use customer reviews to make more sales. And I think it kind of sounds pretty straightforward, right? To a lot of small business owners, hey, people are writing about me. I should just get this out there and hopefully leverage this. But it takes a little bit of time, and there's a couple different strategies that we want to talk about while we jump into this. But the first thing that I want to let everybody know is that if you are following this presentation live on YouTube or Facebook, you can go to m360.us/727E, and that is a link directly to this entire presentation. So if you're watching this live with us, go ahead and click that link. If you're watching this after the live webinar, go ahead and click that link and utilize that as your reference. So jumping right into it, Brandon, I just want to say something that everybody knows, right? But every day consumers are searching for your products or your services. But a new trend that's really developing is the conveniency factor of these searches, right? Consumers want answers to their questions now. And this is really where Google, Facebook, and other social platforms and review platforms are really leveraging this kind of conveniency search, right? So before we jump in to get to the first slide, is there anything that you want to add, Brandon, to this presentation?
I mean, just talking about the conveniency, I think that's incredibly important. Most people, especially new buyers, for a long time, all marketing and advertising was really geared towards the baby boomer generation, right? Well, not so much anymore, because the largest generation is up and coming, and the largest generation has the funds and the money to spend on advertising. Yep. So considering that, there's been a shift in advertising and marketing towards that convenient now immediacy. I like to reference Amazon a lot because of their Prime program. I've gotten into a habit of, if I need something, I order it. It arrives at my doorstep 2 days later, if I'm thinking about it in advance. A lot of other sites or programs out there, they focus on having that regenerating revenue, essentially. So you sign up for a subscription and you always have soap and the necessities and things like that in your house because it's just automatically delivered. Conveniency is really important for the consumer. But on the other side of that, it's not just convenient, but they also have to trust the business that they're working with. And that's really one of the key points here. You can be convenient, but not trustworthy. And I think as we're talking about using reviews to help increase your sales, that's going to be a really important point that we're going to come back to a lot.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And thank you very much for that. And really that leads us into our next slide, right? When you're talking about your online presence, you want to make sure that you have the best online reputation. So what are people saying about me, and how are people perceiving my small business before they even have stepped into my doorstep, right? Today, consumers compare reviews on most products or services that they're considering buying. And a quick statistic here, if you don't have positive ratings and comments, you're missing out on a huge competitive advantage because 87% of shoppers won't consider buying from a site without reviews, right? So I think that is huge when it comes to where are consumers searching, whether that is Google and they find your Google My Business page, or they find a product or someone references you on Facebook or Instagram, right? What do people see? How do they perceive your business, and what can they read about your business before they even start taking actions to become a client of yours, right? So a couple quick tips that we have for getting some of these reviews, right, is when somebody has done business with you, the simplest way is, of course, asking them, right there, then and there, say, hey, did you enjoy your experience with me? Would you mind just logging on real quick and writing a quick review about my service or my product or the product that you purchased from me? And then secondly, the next best thing is to just send out a quick email and ask a yes or no question. Did you have a good experience with my business or product? Yes or no. If they click the yes button, it's going to take them to a review platform that you want them to write on, right? So you're going to want to link it directly to either Google My Business or your Facebook page or your top rated local page or somewhere that you want to grow positive reviews. If they click the no button, you want to have that link go into a comment box within your website so the consumer can still voice their opinion and you can still help try and solve their pain point or solve their problem or why didn't they have a good experience with you, right? So that's actually going to help you potentially win back that opportunity with that client. And Brandon, I'd love to get your perspective on the online reputation and kind of how to get more of those positive reviews from your consumers.
I'm glad you brought that up. If someone had a bad experience with you, this is a great opportunity for you to potentially win a lifelong customer. I was speaking with a couple of people the other day, and this entire topic came up in this conversation, and we were talking about the necessity of reviews, but what's the risk versus reward? Right? A lot of people are risk averse, so they avoid asking for reviews because they're afraid they're going to get negative reviews or bad reviews. Well, guess what? Everybody who's in business at some point in time is going to get a negative review. It's going to happen. So you can't avoid or lock down the opportunity for reviews just because you're afraid you're going to get some bad ones. Because here's the thing. If all you have are 5-star reviews all the time, people don't actually always trust that, right?
Yeah.
If you've got this utopia of reviews online, people go, I wonder how they did that. That's too good to be true. That can't be right. Now sometimes that can be the case. You've got great reviews, great customers. Eventually, you're going to get that 1-star reviews from someone who's just grumpy for whatever reason.
Yep.
So you can't be afraid of this because you have to have reviews. It's very important. So I love that you brought up the fact that you can use this as a way to better your business, get real honest feedback through that feedback form, and give the consumer an opportunity for outlet. If they can let off some steam and then you can solve their problem, you've won a customer and you've completely negated the need even for negative reviews. Mm-hmm. So that's incredibly valuable. But it goes back to this risk versus reward. If you structure and strategize correctly when you're looking to generate more reviews, you can reduce your risk and increase your reward exponentially. And this is a fantastic way to do that. In fact, the top-rated local program, which is why we've got it badged on here, is very valuable in this instance because it allows you to reduce your risk even more by only allowing actual registered customers of yours leave reviews. You don't have to worry about the risk of competitors. You don't have to worry about spammers or people with a bone to pick. They simply can't leave a review. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it gives you the chance where if someone did leave you a less than positive review, where you can reach out to that customer and they have an opportunity to change their review after you've spoken. Fantastic opportunity. Set up a free profile. That's why we've got it on here. I think it's something that everybody should consider. Absolutely.
Jump over there to Top Rated Local real quick. Create your free profile. And that's going to move us along to the next slide here, talking about how do you make user-generated content easy, right? You kind of said it. A lot of people feel kind of outside the box when they're approaching consumers or customers and asking for those reviews. But generally, that's going to be the best time, right? People write reviews when they just kind of have an overwhelming feeling, of positivity or negativity, right? It's kind of that moment of passion or inspiration where they think to themselves, hey, you know what? I really need to share this experience because it's great, or I really need to share this experience because it's horrible and I don't want anybody else to walk through it, right? Again, if you are face-to-face with somebody, you can confront that negativity and hopefully turn it into a positive. And a quick note here from Yapo, they did a study and they found that 73% of people who had a negative experience with a business who then worked with a consumer group or a member of the small business that they worked with who confronts and says, hey, we want to solve this problem for you. And because of that, they had a positive experience. That 73% is more likely to actually rebuy or repurchase with that same business. So making sure you have great customer service in your small business is going to be huge because even if it's negative, you can turn it into a positive down the road. But you also want to make sure that leaving the review for the client is simple, right? And there's multiple ways to do it. Ask them face to face, send them an email. There's even messenger bots. If someone's on Facebook or another digital platform, a lot of these messenger bots will just send them a quick question. Again, asking in person and then leaving a flyer on the table, right? Those are all simple ways. You need to have multiple ways to ask your consumers to get this content because they're going to be utilizing it in different ways at different times of the day, and they're going to be on different devices. So that's definitely important. As well as a side note, make sure is mobile friendly as much as possible. When you're requesting and you're trying to move people through mobile device, make sure it's extremely mobile friendly. Otherwise, it's just one more thing that they're going to jump out of, right? So Brandon, I'd love to get your opinion as well as kind of making that UGC a little bit easier for the consumer.
You know, you've made some incredible points in here, and one of the things that I really like, I actually did a video on this a couple of weeks ago, talking about 5 tips to increasing sales and increasing return business by just providing great customer service. Mm-hmm. You know, when you talked about people leave reviews in 2 situations, great experience or terrible experience, very rarely do they leave reviews just kind of in the middle, unless you ask and you make it easy. The real thing that you can look at here is customers already expect you to provide the product. They already expect you to provide the service, and they want to have or they at least anticipate that they'll have a generally, pleasant experience working with you. Mm-hmm. That's average. That's bare minimums right there. That is not what a great business does or a great customer service department does. You have to blow them out of the water with the experience. Yep. Just providing the bare minimums is not enough in today's business world. It's just not going to provide you with the tools that you need for success, and it's not going to bring people back. So if you want user-generated content, then you have to up your customer service. You have to up the customer experience. If you're just doing the bare minimums, you'll get the really highly positive reviews because they were overly impressed. You'll get the negative reviews because they had a bare minimum expectation and you didn't reach that for whatever reason. So if you continue to just increase the customer experience, just by default, you get more reviews because more people are in that bucket of being incredibly happy and incredibly just stoked to have done business with you. So it just in and of itself, that's one of the easiest ways to generate more user-generated content and more positive reviews.
Yep. Absolutely. And, a lot of what we're saying is kind of, when you think about it, very review website specific, right? So we're talking reviews. People are going to think Google My Business, which is extremely important because when people do a Google search, that's generally the first thing they're going to see, whether it's on their desktop or on their mobile device, right? And the near me search that we've talked about in past webinars is huge. So yes, Google My Business is going to be important. Top rated local, we're talking about that review platform. There's other ones out there, right? The one that everyone loves to hate, Yelp, another member of that. So we also want to keep in mind, and this kind of leads us into our next slide, is the social aspect of it, right? And why is social important? And why do you need to get these reviews on social platforms? Well, really, it's where your customers are. Right? 79% of Americans use Facebook every single day and actually utilize it multiple times a day. 57% of consumers say social media influences their shopping habits. I would argue to say that a large majority of those are reviews or posts that they've seen from friends and family saying how they've had great experiences with this product or service. As well as 80% of users follow at least one business on Instagram, right? And that's just kind of an idea of showing you, hey, it's not just Facebook, but there's other platforms out there that matter. And then 50% of US millennials use Pinterest every month. And of so, 63% say Pinterest helps them discover new brands or products to buy. Right? And Pinterest is one of those things we talked about in our last webinar, Brandon, but it's one of those up and coming platforms, and we hope to do a webinar on it in the future. But it's important that you, again, have a professional image and positive reviews wherever a consumer may be searching you on. I'd love to get your opinion on the social platform aspect as well.
I mean, social is just the direction that business is going. If you've got a different opinion, feel free to leave something in the comments or send us a chat because I would love to have this conversation with you. Social is the direction that business is going. We have people reach out to us at Marketing 360 all the time on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and want to talk to us about services, products, or even just, brainstorm a little bit, share tips and have that conversation. And I'll tell you what, those conversations are oftentimes some of the best conversations that we have. The social aspect of user-generated content and immediate communication and piercing the corporate veil, it allows your business to have a human face. Now, let's say that you're a local service company and you say, well, I'm involved in the community and I'm a local company and people know who I am. Some do. But we just, on our Facebook page today, we released a statistic that we found, that Facebook found. On average, people in the U.S. spend 4.5 hours per day on their mobile device. Now, let's be clear about this. They are not spending 4.5 hours per day talking about your business or asking for recommendations or doing their research on, whether I hire this local guy or not. 4.5 hours a day is quite a bit of time where you need to be in front of them. They're not actively looking for you, but if your page is there and you've got reviews and you've got recommendations, and you're running ads and you've just got a great social profile on any of these social platforms, then when they're ready and it's time for research or they've been taking actions and activities that indicate that you're ready for your service or product, you are there already. And the amount of time that people spend on social sites and on their mobile phones, it is irresponsible for business owners to ignore that and say, I don't need a Facebook, I don't need a YouTube account, I don't need to invest in videos, I don't need to invest in mobile. That's irresponsible. And we've got so many options, and so many of these options are things that you can do in-house yourself. Reach out to us at Marketing 360. We have a full staff that can handle that. There's no reason not to be focusing your energies and efforts in social.
Yeah, and we would love to help you out here at Marketing 360. So feel free, jump over to our website, marketing360.com, fill out a form, give us a call. Again, as Brandon said, we would love to just talk to you about some ideas and how can you improve this. And the next slide really kind of shows you that we do care about you and your small business. So here's a couple tips so you can actually increase engagement and awareness for your small business on some of these platforms. Now, these are just 4 social platforms, but we know they're not the only ones to focus on. There's other ones like Twitter and LinkedIn that we could even dive deep into. But talking about these ones real quick, Facebook, right? Videos earn the highest engagement rate despite making only 3% of all content on Facebook today, right? So that's huge. But when you're thinking about creating these videos, you need to also keep in mind that 85% of Facebook users watch video without sound. So if you are going to take the time to create a video for your small business, which big asterisk right here, you need to take the time. I think it's irresponsible not to create a video for your small business today. But going back to it, if you take the time to create that video for your small business, make sure you have one that's up for all video platforms like Vimeo, YouTube, all those, but also make sure that you're leaving the comments within your video, right? So make sure people can actually read your video as they're scrolling through it on Facebook. So that's going to be important. Jumping over to Pinterest, 75% of millennial pinners say that they like it when a brand inspires them to reach their potential, right? So maybe that's more of the motivational quotes, or we've seen a lot of the DIY and how-tos, right? This recipe looks extravagant and tough to do, but guess what? You can do it at home. And if you're a restaurant or you're a bakery or you're, a grocery store, that's a great idea for your Pinterest boards, right? Give some recipes, give some inspiration to all these consumers. And then a couple other things, guides, how-tos, infographics. They not only create engagement, but they also drive consumers to take action and purchase. And Brandon, you can probably jump into there talking about how people kind of utilize Pinterest. And if they can't do something, they just go to the pinner and purchase it. But I'm going to jump into Snapchat real quick. If you're on Snapchat, you need to get context cards and geo filters put into your business for your small business so people can actually snap while they're in location, have this nice filter that they can share with other friends and family. Good branding, good awareness, as well as a quick contact card so they can get there if they want to. And on the Instagram side, posted locations get an increase of 79% more engagement, as well as the user-generated content, right? So kind of swinging it full background to the beginning. If you get positive reviews and you get these reviews posted from your clients about your brand, they have a 4.5% increase in conversion rates, right? So touched on a lot there, Brandon, but I'd love to get your opinion on all of it.
I think the question is going to be, why did we go from talking about reviews to talking about social media, and how are they related, right? It's incredibly related because this goes back to what I was saying earlier. You need to provide great customer experience and great customer service. The more of that you provide, just naturally, you receive more higher quality reviews. This is a part of it. Social media and social platforms, with increasing your engagement, increasing your awareness, your ability to communicate with clients and answer their questions immediately right where they are. All of this feeds into creating a more well-rounded customer experience for your business that fits into today's day and age and today's shopping experience. Mm-hmm. So focusing on these different social channels, and I could talk about social channels for hours given half an opportunity.
Check out our webinars.
Yeah, we've done some webinars on these. We do tip videos all the time. And if you have any questions, reach out to us on one of these platforms. We'd love to respond and answer some of your questions. So we could talk about social media all day. Really, the goal here is to elevate the consumer experience in order to naturally receive more reviews. But Seth, I know we've got some other slides coming up where we can talk about some strategies on how to proactively generate some more reviews, and I'd love to start talking about that too.
Absolutely. So jumping over to our next slide, this is actually a great way to start consolidating these reviews, right? So a big question when they send it out, and I talk to small business owners, they say, hey, I sent out this email. They said they want to do it right. Where do I send them? How do I do all of this? Well, the first thing that we think here in Marketing 360 is going to be important for any small business is going to make sure that you have a small business CRM in place. So this not only helps you kind of track and organize your clients and leads, but it's also going to help create a sales process for you and your team. You can track lifetime value of each marketing channel that you're doing advertisements on, whether it's organic or social or paid ads. You can spend more time with the customers and less time on the follow-up. And then you can also increase sales by improving these inefficiencies. So again, going back to that example of somebody came in and, they purchased your product or your service, they left, right? You send them an automated email directly from your CRM system. So you've collected their information, you send them an email, you ask them about, hey, did they have a great experience, right? Well, now if you have a CRM system that has a built-in email marketing campaign such as ours, so go to signup.mymarketing360.com/register, and you can actually sign up for our small business CRM. But it's going to help you create these additional processes, so it's taking less time off your plate, right? So you can actually spend more time with these consumers. And Brandon, I know you've done a lot with CRM systems and working directly with small businesses, and I know you got a lot more to add to this slide, so I'd love to hear it.
Well, I'm going to start this with my favorite word, automation. A CRM is the way that you automate your business. And there's some fear maybe about the word automation, and you start, automation means people lose their jobs, and automation, this and that. No, automation increases efficiency and it increases profitability in your business. Now, because we're talking about reviews and we're talking about elevating the customer experience, utilizing a CRM is so incredibly valuable. It's paramount that you move forward and get the CRM. I don't care what CRM you sign up for. There's plenty out there. I do recommend the Marketing 360 CRM because it's free. It's free for life, and there's zero limitations. So just go ahead and Seth already gave you the URL there. Sign up for that. Super valuable. But what this does is it allows you to automate some of these more mundane processes that either in a small business get forgot, or they never really get implemented, or it just takes too much time. And as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, time is one of your most valuable assets. So you can try to assume or assign a value, a monetary value to your time, but this is free. So I recommend signing up for it. You can use this to automate your sales process, like you said. That's one of the most powerful aspects of this. Someone fills out a form on your site. They want to hear from you. We already talked about this. Convenience and immediacy those are key phrases, key terms that consumers are looking for. If I fill out a form on your site, I want to know that you got it and what the next steps are. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more frustrating to a user, and I can use myself as an example. When you go and I fill out a lead form, I need a quote, I want to set up a free estimate, or I want to talk to you about some services that you provide, and I never hear back from you. Or I hear back from you a week later.
Yep.
Guess what? I was filling out that form at that moment because it's on my mind. I'm at least researching. I might be budgeting. I might be planning, with other services that I've already got scheduled out, and I need this to kind of continue my process or my project. Mm-hmm. So if you can't or don't respond immediately, you've lost that business. A CRM will allow you to track that information as it comes in, to tag it based on the type of form that was filled out or the service that they're looking for. And if you connect this with an email program, that email then can immediately be sent out, and you can start the conversation that way. If you have a live chat or a messenger bot on your site, again, more opportunity for communication and conversation. All we're doing here is elevating the customer experience to generate more reviews. Even beyond that, after the sale has happened, and Seth, you had brought this up a little bit earlier, this utilizing a CRM and an automated email program is how you can then wrap everything up with a nice bow and send them an email requesting a review. It's a no-brainer, the biggest no-brainer of the history of the world, right? This is absolutely something that consumers need. They have to use. This CRM is free, and it's something you can argue all day. You can argue all you want. Well, I don't need one. I've got a yellow legal pad. My team knows how to do it. I trust them. That's fine. Make it easier on them and you. Focus on your business. Focus on increasing customer service, generating more sales, and let this do the rest of the work for you.
Absolutely. And, again, as Brand said, it's free. So why not try it out? And that jumps us into the next slide, talking about the email marketing aspect of it, right? So built into the CRM system, you have the email fully integrated in with the marketing automation, SMS, text message marketing. If you aren't utilizing SMS as a small business, I really think you're missing out on opportunity there, right? Especially if you're utilizing your CRM system from a sales perspective, and the first step is you send them an automated email. I believe you also need to send them an automated text, right? At least saying, hey, thank you very much for your submission. Just got your information. If you'd like to give us a call, we'd love to go over it, X, Y, and Z, right? And the reason I say that is 98% of people check their text message within the first 15 minutes of getting that text message. And I would argue to say 100% of them are going to see it at some point or another, because they're either going to delete it, which they're going to read half of it anyways, or they're going to have to click it to get that notification off their phone, right? So if you're not utilizing it as a marketing automation tool, I would say get on that and jump into it. And this kind of leads us into another interesting aspect of all of this user-generated content, right? And why do you need to have good customer service? And a couple ways to kind of increase the user-generated content. There's a couple ideas here, and we're going to jump halfway down the page, and we're going to come back up to the top. But you can give incentives, right? So if you want to get good reviews, or you want to get good images of products, or even consumers utilizing your product, try to use incentives, whether it's coupons, discount codes. One of my favorites is the photo contest right now that you do on social platforms using branded hashtags. You can also do giveaways or even gifts, etc., those types of things. So I think that that's going to be important, right? And the reason that I think user-generated content is so huge is you can then utilize all this user-generated content on multiple platforms. Not only the reviews, again, that we talked about, that are going to be crucial to giving people a great understanding of your business before they've even stepped into your doorstep, right? By getting on Google My Business and Top Rated Local and all those great review platforms. But now you start utilizing all these great reviews in the social aspect, so people are seeing it firsthand. Oh, and by the way, we're doing this cool giveaway or a coupon if you share it. Now it's just more brand recognition out there. And if you start sharing your consumers' information, people like it, right? I don't know if you guys have ever posted something to a brand and they've asked you to utilize that. Makes you feel good, right? You see your own picture of your son or your daughter, or maybe even yourself on utilizing a product. on someone's website, I think that's pretty cool. And I think a lot of people feel that that's awesome. Well, that's brand recognition. And it's also showing your consumers that you feel about them. And you've potentially got a repeat customer then, right? And the reason repeat customers are so big is right now, they only make up about 15% of all online purchases. So 15% of all online purchases. However, they make up over 33% of all revenue from e-commerce businesses, right? So a small percentage of repeat buyers, however, huge percentage of revenue. And the reason that is because repeat customers generally spend 3 times as much as a first-time buyer. Brandon, you talked about it earlier in the segment, as well as that webinar you did previously about how do you maintain good customer identity and how do you show value to your consumers? And I'd love to get your perspective on this slide.
So the easiest thing to do is to just ask your customers to leave reviews. That's super easy. Yeah. But here we're kind of talking about bringing people back and elevating their experience more, because this is one of the most important things. If you can turn a customer into a brand ambassador for your business, their value goes up exponentially. Yeah. At that point, it doesn't matter that they spend 3 times more than anybody else. If a return customer only makes up for 15% of actual, consumer shopping, and then they spend 3 times more, what you need to do is have better customer service, a better customer experience, more reviews, more trust, means more people take that first leap and they spend more money initially. Mm-hmm. If you can raise your average transaction value, then when consumers are coming back and they're on average spending 3 times more than that average transaction value, all of your transactions are just going up, and all of that revenue and that return on your investment is all increasing over time. So if maybe you're a new business, e-com business, something like that, and your average transactions are $20. Well, what can you do to increase your average transactions to $40? Mm-hmm. Well, not only have you doubled your average transaction, but now when people come back, they're not just spending 3 times 20. Now they're spending 3 times 40. This is exponential growth, right? Mm-hmm. And as a part of this, you need to build the trust in your brand and incentivize your customers, your current customers, to be a part of that. And some of that can be coupons. It can be gift cards, drawings. It can be, like you had initially mentioned, maybe they take a picture of a product or service and you showcase it and kind of show off the decision that they made, right? Yeah. It kind of stroke the ego of, you made the right choice. You made a great choice in working with us. And because of that, we're going to showcase what a smart individual you are. And here's the new lawn, or here's we just painted the house and here's what it looks like. And it's very cool. When you incentivize people to connect with your business, they don't go to other companies. They don't leave. They don't abandon. And they become the people that will hunt down bad reviews and debunk them. Mm-hmm. They find the bad review and they're like, that is not the experience I had. That's not the experience anyone I know has, because I recommend all my friends and family. You're crazy. It's a fake review, or you're a competitor, or you just don't know what you're talking about, Yep. And you don't even have to deal with it as a business owner. It's great by utilizing this information and increasing the amount of return customers and their own satisfaction. Your entire business grows, and you can rely on them to help you generate even more reviews.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this kind of brings us into that next slide, right? Talking about the social media, and really what we wanted to talk about is, what do we do for our social media management clients? And the reason I like talking about this, number one, as we said, we are Marketing 360. You can go to marketing360.com. We'd love to help you out with everything. But we also want to show you kind of what we do, so potentially you can utilize it for yourself and try it out and see if you can get some new tips out of it. So first and foremost, it's design. Design does matter. So we design and we create the content for the small businesses, social media platforms, right? We then post this content on a consistent basis. And I think that that's important. You need to have consistency, because this is actually, on social platform posts, still helping through Google algorithms with the organic content, right? If Google sees that there's multiple content sources showing your brand in your relevant keywords, you're going to start growing that SEO value. You also need to show that you're following other people within your community you like and you're interacting with pages, whether it's other small businesses that are around or even complementary to what you do, as well as make sure that you're responding to consumers. But then you want to create that community feel, right? You need to make sure that you're creating that so people say, hey, it's not just about me blasting my brand out in front of you saying buy, 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 right? You want to make sure that you're hitting people kind of just on that personal level saying, hey, we're here for you if you ever need help, or here's a couple ideas for you. So that's huge. And then making sure that you're communicating well. So you need to be able to communicate that brand message. So we do it on a one-on-one basis when we're talking to the owner, right? What are your goals and how are you trying to convey your brand out there in your local community? And then how do you create that message to reflect that, right? And I think that that's huge. And the last piece of it, Brandon, is we track those analytics, right? We want to make sure that we're tracking everything that we're doing, how much exposure are we getting, and ultimately, what is that driving us from a revenue perspective, right? Am I just spinning my wheels, wasting time posting all of this? Or at the end of the day, do I have an analytical tracking system that I can say, yes, these posts and the time that I'm taking to get these out there, or even the advertisements I'm running, is yielding me a better return on investment, so I should continue along with this.
And let's say at some point you are going to feel in social media, you are going to feel like you're spinning your wheels, right? You know, social media is a weird place for a business to live because, and I describe our social media managers as community and content curators. Right? I think that's a great way to describe them because they are developing community and they are also creating content. You need content in order to grow a community, and you need the community in order to engage with your content. And most oftentimes, most businesses do not start with either one of those. You know, maybe after this webinar, you're going to go and you're going to start your Facebook page and you're going to like it. You know, if you got a couple employees, they're going to like it. Your friends and family are going to like it. And now you've got 15 likes. What do you do? Right?
Yeah.
All right, you got 15 likes. Great start. You know, you start posting, you're posting blogs, you post pictures, and 2 weeks later you got 17 likes. All this energy and effort, and you're not seeing that growth. You will absolutely feel like you're spinning your wheels. I guarantee it. But having a strategy, and that's what we're talking about here, having that strategy for moving forward and the understanding to see the future and to where you need to go, that's what makes all the difference. Now, this is what we do for our social media management clients. You know, we do this in-house. We do all the designs. We do all the content writing. We develop the schedule. We boost posts. We target your audiences. We build audiences and lookalike audiences to help grow your value, both on the organic side and on the paid strategy side. All of this built in. So what we want to do here is kind of give you a little bit of insight into that. Because the social media is nothing if not raw authenticity. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I find for small business owners that are trying to do that themselves. I love when they have started their own social media, they've developed their own voice, their own way of communicating, their own style of content that they create. And then they find that, okay, I'm getting a little momentum, or I want to get more momentum. And then they come and they work with us, but there's that foundation laid that we can take with our expert team and craft that message around a core company personality that has been created by the business owner. Mm-hmm. The level of authenticity that brings and the level of value that brings to a social conversation, I believe, is one of the most important things that you can really have in a social media strategy. Authenticity is key, and it's another great way to increase a customer experience, and as a result of that, generating more reviews. So this is just a sneak peek into how we manage social media for our clients, and we'd love to continue to have this conversation with you. We can leave a comment. We'll be happy to give you some more tips and tricks. We've got other videos and other webinars that we've done on this, so you can continue your research. And if you've got any questions, let us know.
Absolutely. And we have about 5 to 10 more minutes here on this webinar. So if you're live with us on YouTube or Facebook, please, if you have any questions, hit us up in the comment section. We want to try and answer those questions while we're live. Or if you're watching this after the live presentation, still leave a comment. We'd love to get back with you, answer your questions. Feel free to go to our website as well. That's going to jump us over into our next topic, and that's going full circle back into the reputation side, right? Talking about these reviews and how do I get more sales by getting more reviews? Well, reputation management is huge. So the first thing is, and this is kind of what we do internally for our clients that choose to utilize our reputation management services, but we control and build your reputation online, right? That's the first and foremost of it. You already have consumers. And if you don't have consumers, you're probably not watching this webinar, right? Because you're not a small business owner, but you are. So if you have consumers, they have a message to say. Now you need to get those reviews online. You need to get them on good platforms like Top Rated Local, like Google My Business, on Facebook, where consumers are and where they're searching for your services, right? So that's first and foremost. Getting found now, you got these reviews, they're writing them. Now getting found is going to help you increase those sales, right? Again, people are writing reviews, you're coming up on search engines, you're ranking higher, and now you have something to show people before they know really who you are. They know what you do, and they know that you can solve a pain point for them, but you have to show them this. Now you utilize those reviews to close those deals. The reviews are getting you more phone calls. They're getting you more lead forms. So you need to leverage that, right? Utilize them on different platforms like your social, like your website. And then ultimately get them to convert. And there's a couple things you need to do here going over to that website again. So trust badges are huge. If you're utilizing our reputation platform or even our top rated local service, we have a nice little widget that goes on your website so people can click it. And right there, they can see your ranking, right? Your review ranking, not just on top rated local, but this ranking pulls different algorithms from, again, Google My Business, Better Business Bureau, Yelp, Facebook is consolidating all this to give your business a rating. So people are going to be able to see that rating, and they're also going to be able to see the positive comments that people have written about you. So that's huge when you're talking about the conversion aspect of it, right? They did a search, they found your listing, you look credible. They then go to the website, which looks professional, and they're still thinking, 97% of the time, by the way, they're not going to do business with you, but they're still thinking, is this a company I want to do with? That trust badge is right there. They click it, they see the positive reviews again, and boom, they submit a lead form right there on your website, or they give you a call. So it's huge. We do this internally with our reputation management, but that's a couple key things that we believe you need to do in order to increase those sales with these reviews and what the consumers are writing about you.
So we've been talking about the value of time, right, as a small business owner. So all the tips and tricks that we're giving you for the most part are free, really. You know, if you want to sign up for the free CRM, sign up for Top Rated Local, free also. Sign up for Facebook, that's free. Twitter, free. YouTube, free. All of these are free initially. Mm-hmm. But like I mentioned earlier, there is a monetary value to time also. And time is the most valuable thing that an entrepreneur, a small business owner has. So that's why we want to bring this up. We want to give you as many tips as possible so that you can do this on your own if you desire. But there is value in working with Marketing 360 if you or a local agency or anybody that can help you on as a passion for your business. There can be value there. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons I think that we wanted to bring this up, is that this is something that we can do for you in-house. This is our passion. Your passion is your business, and our passion is your business also. So these are things that we can do to help elevate you from a level that you have grown to and then help you grow to that next level. But an online reputation is everything, right? You know, if you don't have an online reputation, you kind of don't exist, especially in today's world. So managing your reputation proactively is incredibly important. And that's something that we can do through the reputation management program, partnered with Top Rated Local, utilizing the CRM and the rest of the Marketing 360 platform. And we'd love to help you do that too.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. We hope you got some value out of this webinar, right? That's why we do it. Brandon and myself, we do these webinars every single Wednesday, 1:30 Mountain Standard Time, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we will be talking more in the future. So please join us. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you're getting the notifications when we go live, as well as please leave a comment. Let us know some of the questions that you have as a small business, because that's only going to give us more fuel to answer those questions in the future and talk about more topics, right? So Brandon, I think we're good here. Do you have anything to add?
Nope. Just happy to be here. Happy to talk with you guys again, like Seth said, every Wednesday. And we'd love for you to subscribe, like, and share. And we'll work with you in the future.
Perfect. And maybe we'll get some cool sound in the background when we're getting ready to sign off. Maybe that's something our video team can do. But again, thank you very much for your time. And until next Wednesday, happy marketing, guys.